Hi folks! What about turning this piece of styrofoam into this using almost only acrylic paints? Acrylics are cool. You don't need smelly thinners, they dry quickly, they are easy to use. And the most important thing, they don't melt styrofoam, which some other products do. In this video there is a disaster moment when the scene was almost completely wasted, but I somehow managed to save it. You will see what I'm talking about. Let's go to work. Remember, this is the scene from my second video. Again, I used Vallejo Panzer Grey acrylic primer, and usually I thin Vallejo products with a homebrew thinner. The thinner is a mixture of water, isopropanol, glycerin and Flow8. Ratios were 1 part primer and 1 part thinner. The pressure 1 bar. Apply in thin coats, always moving the airbrush and the part, and cover the complete surface. I was moving the scene like an idiot for the whole time, and when the priming was finished, I remembered that I have a nice turntable in the drawer. Well played. The street light was base coated with a mix of ammo lime green, marine blue and satin white. The ratio was 1 part green, 1 part blue and 3 part white. I tinned this with Mr. Leveling Thinner in a 1 part paint, 1 part thinner ratio. The pressure again 1 bar. Standard acrylic procedure. First apply a very thin mist of color, and after a minute or so you can continue more aggressively. But still build the color gradually. I didn't base coated the street properly. I just sprayed ammo grey color in an uneven pattern to give the surface some light. It will be painted with a brush. Here you can see the pieces after the airbrush procedure. So, a wet palette was prepared for the painting of the stones. I used different white, grey, brown and earth acrylics paints. Those paints were thinned using tap water. I started with Vallejo Dark Tan. The color is fairly thin, but it could be even thinner. You can see how the same color looks over different base shades. Next color was AK Light Grey Brown. Just pick some stones and paint them. AK Middle Grey was the next one. The wet palette keep the colors from drying, and you can constantly adjust the consistency. Here I moved towards the dark part of the colors. This was Vallejo Burnt Umber. Until now, all the tones were used as they came from the bottle. And now the fun part begins. A wet palette is ideal for mixing and thinning all kinds of different shades. And this is the moment where the best colors come out. Use your imagination and paint the remaining stones with different shades of everything. As always, I exaggerated with the color difference. The stonework looks exaggerated and unreal. But don't worry, there is an easy fix for this. A glaze of grey color, Vallejo London Grey in this case, will unify the colors. Acrylic bottles, especially Vallejo ones, are really hard to shake. And if you want the color to perform well, you must shake the hell out of them. I use my trusty MacGyver style shaker. It's loud, heavy and clumsy, but he can shake. Oh, if he can shake. Back to the serious stuff. A glaze or a filter is basically very thin paint. So, go heavy with water or thinner until you can barely see that the paint is covering something. I covered the whole surface 2 times. Apply it once, leave it to dry, and if you are not happy, you can repeat the process as many times as you like. If the paint is too thin, there is no problem. You just go another time. If it's too thick, you're screwed. So keep it thin. As you can see, the colors are still vivid, but they will turn down during other steps, and if they don't, we can still repeat our glaze move. Filling the gaps between the stones with sand during the construction process was a big mistake, so I decided to rescribe them using this sculpting tool. And this was also the beginning of the disaster moment that you will see soon. I wasn't so sure, but actually it was easier than expected. The sand was fixed with thin PVA glue and holds together, but it's easy to carve it anyway. Now we can refill the gaps with fresh sand. I used 0.1 to 0.3 mm sorted gravel. A friend brought me this from a separation plant. You can push the sand in the gaps using a soft brush. And this is the easy part. The hard part is cleaning away excess sand. You should leave the sand in the gaps, but keep the top of the stones clear. At the end, a big soft brush was used in very soft passes. Next time, I will get one of those big makeup brushes. I think that will work fine. I decided to try sand and gravel fixer. It was applied with a pipette all over the gaps with the sand. And the application was wonderful. I don't remember the last time that I was so happy with the modeling product performance. Everything was looking good for about 10 to 15 minutes and I was leaving the workshop, when I realized that something is wrong. Badly wrong. The enamel fixer started melting the styrofoam because I recarved the gaps. Some parts started to inflate like balloons and other parts collapsing down. After a lot of swearing in different languages and dialects, I shared my misfortune with my modeling buddies on WhatsApp. One of them, Grazie Angelo, said that I should try to stop the process with water. And I immediately sprayed the surface with a mix of isopropanol and water to break the surface tension and then flooded the surface with water. Thanks God, it worked. I will probably have to pay a few beers, but the scene was saved. In the evening, I grabbed a glass of wine and the sand, and I started the repairs. Basically, I redone the same procedure with sand, but wait a second. This time, using a box, so all the workspace was not covered in sand. I also applied some sand over the most damaged parts of the stonework. And fixing, but this time with scenic glue made from PVA and water. First, a mist of tension breaker, this allows the glue to enter the sand, and then scenic glue. Cheers to you, sand and gravel fixer, you got me well this time. I wanted to add some loose material in some spots. I mixed it from different granulations of sorted gravel and some static grass. I applied it dry in the parts where it should go, mainly the rain channel. You can put it in place realistically with a soft brush. At the end, I added some bigger rocks. PVA scenic glue was again used. The whole ground painting and weathering was done using acrylics. I started with the light shade made from Vallejo flat earth and white. All the colors were used basically as washes, so more thinner than color. You must work carefully because the thinner reactivates the scenic glue. I soaked up the loose material and also put some in crevices here and there. You can also treat some of the stones. The dark shade was mixed from Vallejo dark brown and black. Try to put the dark shade more on the bottom of the loose material. And in crevices where the ground should be more wet, like the surrounding of the manhole cover. The metal covers were base painted with a mix of Vallejo German grey and white. Then I proceeded to chipping of the street light. The light color was the base mix with more white in it. First, it was applied with a sponge. and then was retouched with the brush. The best part for me is painting dark chips. Here a mix of Vallejo dark brown and German grey is used. Put the chips into the light ones. Now the only two enamel products on the whole scene will be used. Dark brown wash for the light pole and streaking crust effects for the covers. Thin down the wash a little and apply it around the details. When it is dry to the touch, gently blend it with a clean brush moistened with thinner. For the cover, I just applied some streaking crust from the bottle and worked it with some thinner to spread it all around. Well, it's not what you're thinking. I tried to replicate some moss in the crevices. I took some oregano spice from the kitchen and shredded it with the knife. It looks okay, but next time I will pass it through a sieve to take the big pieces away. I glued the moss with PVA straight from the bottle. To get the glue in tiny spots, you also need a tiny brush. So, apply some glue where you want the moss to be. That should be in the deeper crevices and in places where the ground is more wet. Then take some moss, sprinkle it on the spot and apply some gentle pressure. Gently turn the scene and tap it to get rid of the excess. And then quickly blow away some more with your mouth. Here I am following Uncle's Night Shift moss painting. The first darker color will be Vallejo khaki brown. For the more vivid tone I used Ammo lime green. Both colors again will be used as washes. Try to gently flat all the moss with the darker color wash. The color is washed in, so no worries if it goes into the surroundings. With the brighter green color, we should approach more lightly. Try to hit the top parts of the moss. The darker color is still wet, so the colors are blending nicely. And as you can see, our moss is coming to life. Here you can see the moss when it's finished. Uncle Night Shift again knows what he is talking about. Now let's paint some loose rocks in different colors. It is a very simple step and makes a lot of difference. I like those AK paints because you can use them without tinning for those kind of tasks. Now it's dust time. Again, I mixed the same light earth tone like for the loose material, and I tinned it even more with water. I started with the manhole cover. I applied the wash all over the place, and then I worked it with more water to get some variation. The same wash was then applied randomly over the scene. Again, apply some wash and finally blend it with some water. And this is our finished scene. I'm still a little angry for the disaster with the enamel fixer, but when I think that the whole scene could melt down and end it in trash, well, I feel a little better. Well, there is not much more to say. An important lesson was learned, and I'm quite happy with the results. In the next episode we will be painting figures and gear, and I'm quite scared of that moment. We will see how it goes. In the meantime, I will kindly ask you to subscribe to this channel, like, dislike, comment, do whatever you want. You can also follow me on Facebook, Diorama Devil, where I post almost daily updates of my work. Thank you for watching and stay tuned.